1, 2, 3, ya.
Hello everyone!
We are from
Group 1!
So first of all, I would like to say thank you to our God. Because of His blessing, we can stand here today. And also, we would like to say thank you to Sir Johannes as our lecturer for giving us the opportunity to us to make this video about test,
Assessment, Evaluation, Formative, Summative, Assessment.
And before we start our material, I would like to introduce my groups. My name is Benedictus Bram Perdana Putra Gultom.
My name is Tengku Mirasya Putri.
My name is Esra Rodiarni Aritonang.
Me, Anastasia Bella Pertiwi Tambunan. I am Febriana Saragi.
My name is Tengku Anissa Fadila.
And without any further ado, let's
Check it out!
So, the first material will be delivered by me. And the first material will be test. What is test? A test is a tool used to measure a person's English skills, such as reading, writing, speaking, and listening. It can be written, spoken, or computer-based. And next, we have the purpose of the test. The tests are used to, we can measure a student's English ability, checking learning progress, find strengths and weaknesses, place students in the right level, and lastly, ensure fair and standard evaluation. And next, we get to the material of types of test. It has 3 types. First is by purpose, second is by method, third is by format. And let's talk about the by purpose. First, we have proficiency test. It measures overall ability, for example, TOEFL and IELTS. We have achievement test. It checks what students have learned, for example, final exams. And also we have diagnostic test. It finds areas that need improvement. And we have placement test. It decides the right class level. The second one, by method. Objective test. It fixed answer, such as multiple choices. And the next one is also subjective test. Needs examiner's judgments. Example, essays and interviews. And the third one, we have by format. We have written test, oral test, and performance test. Written test, it includes essay and multiple choice questions. Second, we have oral test speaking through interviews or presentations. And performance test is about required tasks like writing or recording speech. Fourth, we have how to use a test. First, we can decide the purpose of the test, such as assessment, placement, and diagnosis. Second, we have to choose the right type of the test. And then we create clear questions. It also have to suit the student's level. And we have conduct the test fairly. And the last one is score and give feedback to the students. And lastly, we have example of an English test. First, we have TOEFL IBT. It tests academic English skills. And next, we have IELTS. It uses a band score for academic and work purposes. Next, we have Cambridge exams. And lastly, we have language school placement test. It decides student levels with multiple choices and interviews.
Assessment. Assessment is the process of evaluating, measuring, and documenting a learner's knowledge, skills, attitudes, and belief. It is used to determine the level of understanding and proficiency a student has achieved in a particular subject or skill. The primary objective of assessment include: first, measuring learning progress to track a student's improvement over time. Second, identifying strength and weakness to highlight where students excel or need improvement. Third, providing feedback to help students and educators adjust teaching and learning strategies. Fourth, evaluating educational effectiveness to determine whether teaching methods and curricula are effective. Fifth, making informed decisions to guide academic and career planning based on performance data. Next, types of assessment. First, formative assessment, ongoing assessment conducted during the learning process to provide feedback. Second, summative assessment, evaluation at the end of a learning period to measure overall achievement. Third, diagnostic assessment, pre-assessments used to identify students' prior knowledge and learning gaps. Fourth, performance-based assessment tasks requiring students to demonstrate their knowledge in a particular way. Fifth, self and peer assessment. Students assess their own or each other's work to develop critical thinking and self-reflection skills.
Okay, next is implementation methods. Implementation method is the process of evaluating how well a program, policy, or project has been implemented according to the established plan. The goal of this assessment is to identify success, challenges, obstacles, and areas that need improvement in execution. Okay, the implementation methods are: the first is traditional testing, the second is observational method, the third is portfolio assessment, the fourth is rubric and checklist, and the last or the fifth is technology based assessment. The first is traditional testing, which is written exams, multiple choice tests, and essays. The second, observational method, which is teachers assess students' participation, behavior, and engagement. The third is portfolio assessment, like collection of student work over time to evaluate progress. The fourth is rubric and checklist, which is predefined criteria to measure performance consistently. The fifth is technology-based assessment, like online quizzes, interactive tests, and adaptive learning system. So the last is example of assessment. The first is formative assessment. A teacher gives a short quiz after a lesson to check student understanding. And the second is summative assessment. This summative assessment, like students take a final exam at the end of the semester, something like that. And then the third is diagnostic assessment. This is like a reading comprehension test is given before starting a new topic. The fourth is performance-based assessment. After the teacher give the assessment to the student, and then a student delivers to speech, try to a speech to demonstrate their public speaking skills. And the last is self and peer assessments. So these self and peer assessments, students provide constructive feedback on each other's essays. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
So the next material is evaluation. Evaluation is the process of systematically assessing or determining a person's ability or performance. Is this in English language teaching, or ELT, is the process of assessing students' learning, performance, and progress. It includes assessing listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills. So, objective of evaluation in English language learning: the first, to improve learning, and it is help teacher understand how students are learning and adjust their teaching methods. And the second is to provide feedback. So, evaluation gives students feedback on their learning so they can improve their approach. And then the three is measure effectiveness. It is helps teachers measure are effective their teaching methods. And the fourth is diagnosing difficulties. It is identifying specific areas where students are experiencing challenges. And then the next is types of evaluation that teacher can conduct. There are three. The first is based on timing. There are two. This formative evaluation. The first is conducted during the learning process to monitor students' progress and provide immediate feedback. For example, like making short quizzes and weekly assignment, and then classroom observation. And B. Summative evaluation. It is conducted at the end of a learning period to measure overall student achievement. For example, is final exam and major project assignment. And the second, based on focus. It is a diagnostic evaluation, like identifying student strengths and weaknesses before starting learning, for example, like placement tests. And the third is based on implementation. It is there's two. The first is objective test, using a predetermined answer format, like a multiple choice or true and false. A B, subjective test. It is like allowing students to provide more pre-formed answer like essay and presentation. And then the third C is performance evaluation. It is assessing students' ability to perform practical tasks like making role play and simulation. And then the last material is an example of evaluation learning. It is there's two format, like the first is formative evaluation. It is short quizzes after each learning session. For example, teachers ask students to name 3 objects in the classroom, and then the second, writing short paragraphs, and then observing students' participation in discussion. And for example, to summative evaluation, first is end of semester exam, project assignment to create a presentation, writing argumentative essay, and then the last performance evaluation, like making role play everyday situation, simulating job interviews, presentation on topic chosen by students, and then making questionnaire student interesting. That's all for me. Thank you.
Formative assessment. Formative assessment is a method of asking students areas on the process. Student involvement in formative assessment is very important because active students will easily be assessed by teacher as being able to understand the lesson. In short, formative assessment assesses students from the overall process. The assessment involves oral and written. And the purpose of formative assessment is to monitor student learning progress and provide feedback. This feedback can be used by teachers to improve their teaching and by students to enhance their learning. And types of formative assessment. The first is reflection, evaluating and proving learning. And the second, journals and essay, reading to organize thoughts and develop arguments. The third, quizzes and polls, answering questions to measure understanding. And the next, exit tickets, summarizing learning with short responses. And the next, games, answering topic-based questions. And next, discussion and presentation, sharing understanding reliability. And the last, assessment and homework, completing tasks as additional practice. And implementation of formative assessment. The first is setting clear goals. Teachers establish success indicators and provide students with an understanding of learning expectation. The second, using various methods, such as open-ended questions, short reading tasks, discussion, and reflecting journals. And the third, providing constructive feedback, specific comments that help students understand their strengths and areas for improvement. And the fourth is involving students in self and peer assessment, using rubrics for self-reflection and peer assessment to enhance critical awareness. And the next is adjusting teaching strategies. Teachers adapt materials based on student difficulty and apply differentiated learning and needs. And the last is utilizing technology. Learning management system and recorded assessment can be used and track and reflect to student progress. An example of formative assessment is the first is answer sheets, low-stake quiz, polls, teaching peer-share and digital tools for formative assessment. Thank you.
Summative assessment is an evaluation method to use measure student learning outcome at the end of an examination period such as until semester of course. The purpose of summative assessment. The primary purpose of summative assessment include 1. Evaluation student learnings against set standards or learning objective. 2. Providing feedback to education or the effectiveness of instruction. 3. Certifying students' competence and readiness for the next level of education. And the last, informing curriculum improved based on student performance trends. 3 types of summative assessment. A. Traditional assessment. This assessment focuses on standardized methods of testing that measure knowledge and skills through structured formats, like final exam, standardized test, example, TOEFL, and used for benchmarking student performance. B. Performance-based assessment. This assessment evaluates students based on their ability to apply knowledge in real-world or particular scenarios, like projects, portfolios, and presentation. C. Written assessment. Students demonstrate their understanding through writing-based evaluation, like essays and research papers. And D. Skill-based assessment. This assessment tests student proficiency in specific practical skills, like lab experiments, music or article performance. And how to apply summative assessment. To effectively implement summative assessment, educators should 1. Set clear learning objective. 2. Design fair and comprehensive assessment. 3. Use grading rubrics. 4. Ensure reliability and validity. 5. Provide timely feedback. The example of summative assessment. A final exam, a mathematics course to assess understanding of concept. A research paper in a history class analyzing a significant historical event. A portfolio in an art class showcasing students' best work through the semester. A capstone project in an engineering course where students design and present a real-world solution. And the last, a standardized test. Example, TOEFL IELTS to measure language proficiency. Thank you.
That's all about our material. Thank you for watching and
Bye!